Amaro, the New Mexico Sportsman. So it's May in New Mexico, so that means two things. That means the draw, and that means turkey season. I'm up in the backcountry now trying to roost a bird. I haven't found any bird, haven't heard a bird all year. It's my first time out, no big deal. Turkey hunting's fun, but you know, if I don't shoot a bird, it's not the end of the world. So anyways, and it's also the draw season. So the draw results came out about 4 hours ago, or not even 4 hours ago, 2 hours ago. So how did I do? How did the Amaro family do? How did our household do? Well, we did pretty well. I drew an archery coos deer tag. I don't, you know, I'm grateful I drew that tag. I'm not going to say it was not a surprise that I did draw. That unit typically has leftover tags, so it's a pretty much 100% draw. People don't hunt it because it's hard to hunt, and you really have to put your time in. Fortunately, I live here in Silver City, and I can scout quite a bit, so it's a pretty good tag, and it's almost 100%, so that's great. Now, I also drew an elk tag. If you remember last year, I drew an archery elk tag in Unit 15. It was a rough hunt. It was a good hunt. You know, I was on plenty of animals. The elk didn't really go berserk last year. If you want to see kind of more details about that hunt, you can go back through some of the past videos. It was a good time. Had my opportunities, but I didn't launch an arrow. So where did I draw this year? Well, I drew a little bit closer to home. I drew Unit 16B. Big country, big country, big country. It's absolutely the wilderness, limited vehicle travel in there, so I'm super excited. Thank God I have an extra month this year to prepare physically. I'm all about it. You know, it's going to be a big challenge for me. Again, I'm going to hunt solo, so we'll see how that goes. You know, hunting solo is kind of tough, but it's just kind of what I do. I say I go Yeti. You know, I just go in and I hunt. I don't worry about anything. I just put my backpack on and roll. I end up where I end up. So it's 16B. We'll see how that goes. Excited about it. We'll see. Now the tag that I'm excited about, nervous about, you know, the whole thing, I'm not sure how to grasp, trying to get my head or my hands around. Candace drew Unit 24 coos deer tag, muzzleloader. Her first hunt ever. It's going to be her first hunt ever. Her first tag I'm more concerned about my behavior than I am hers. I'm pretty sure she'll do okay. I just want to make sure that I make it a good experience for her. I want her to kind of see why we hunt and fish. And I don't want to push this on her and insist that she love it, because she may get out there and she's like, you know, Jason, this just isn't for me. And that's all right. But maybe she'll understand a little bit about me and why I hunt and fish and that type of thing. So I'm super excited about it. It's a good time of year. It's not too cold, not too hot. Success rate can be high on those hunts if you know what you're doing. So I'm sure she's gonna rock it. She's gonna do great. We'll see. I mean, I'm super nervous about it. We're gonna document some of that stuff in this hunt and the show. So keep your fingers crossed for Candace, and keep them crossed for me to make sure I don't make a jerk out of myself and I don't end up divorced. But so we did pretty well. We did pretty well. So again, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna break out to the garage. I recently picked up some of those Easton Injexion arrows. Those guys are onto something. Easton is absolutely onto something. Are the arrows cheap? Nope. But dang, they are awesome. So let's jump over to the garage. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Well, no turkeys for me this year, but that's all right. I saw some great country this year. I also retrieved a camera that I had in the backcountry for a while, and I have 1,300 pictures of mule deer and a few turkeys, but no coos deer, and that's all right. Part of the process of hunting coos deer is eliminating where the mule deer are and finding those pockets of coos deer. Okay, well, as promised, we're going to talk a little bit about these Easton Injexion arrows. But before we go there, I'm going to give you kind of my theory on what we should look for, who should we be looking at for arrow designs or ideas on arrows. Well, I've always been a firm believer that if you want to see true arrow accuracy, don't look at the Waddells, don't look at the Lakoskis, don't look at the Gregories. If you want true accuracy, look at what your compound Olympic archers are shooting. What they're basically shooting is a smaller diameter shaft, 4-inch vanes, and a lot of weight forward. Okay, so that's basically what they're shooting. And I think that's what Easton is trying to do with this Easton Injexion arrow. It's a hunting arrow, first of all. So it's got a micro diameter on the outside, but the walls of the shafts aren't that thin. It's a thick arrow, so it's going to be able to take the rigors of hunting. So that's a really good thing. So it's a micro diameter shaft. It'll buck the wind a lot better, especially at distance. So keep that in mind. The further you shoot out with wind, it's going to be a lot less impact. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they went to steel inserts in the front. What does that mean? Well, for me, bottom line is steel means more weight than these aluminum ones. You're going to put more weight out front, so you got a better FOC. They also changed the thread pattern, and okay, I'm okay with that. The whole idea behind shifting the thread pattern was that you're going to get 25% more thread engagement, and they're going to be 65% stronger. Well, I never had problems with inserts before, and you know, maybe that's just icing on the cake, but I didn't see it as that big of an advantage, other than it being steel. I always want to get a good FOC on my arrows. Okay, so what else about these Easton injections? Well, they changed points and broadheads. They went to what they call a boat tail design, and I think that boat tail design has that. I think there's something about that. I think that's where the true improvements are. The whole idea behind the boat tail design is you've got a bigger broadhead or a bigger point, and then it kind of tapers down to the thinner shaft. And I think what's happening is, and we'll talk about my little tests here in a while, but you've got a point that's driving into the target or the animal. It's making a larger wound channel, so when the shaft follows behind it, it doesn't have as much friction as it goes through that hole. So I think that's one of the great big improvements. So what's happening and how is it impacting penetration? Well, I've got an Easton ACC, I have an old school Easton Axis arrow, I've got an FMJ traditional, and then I've got a Carbon Tech Rhino. Well, the injection outperformed all of them. It went through my chronograph much faster. It's about 45 grains lighter, and it's out penetrating them anywhere from 2 inches to about 5 inches. So again, I'm getting a faster arrow, it's a lighter arrow, and it's out penetrating everything else. So these guys are really on to something. I'm going to continue testing. I've been trying to find out kind of the hookups or the hangups or anything that I might not like about these. And the only thing I can really think of, maybe, is the fact that it's a micro diameter shaft. I was concerned about fletching on these. Well, I pulled out my old school Johann or Jojan Fletcher, and these suckers fletched fine. They look pretty good, so I'm happy with the fletching on them. I was also concerned about the broadhead designs that are available. Because of the different thread patterns, Easton went to this thing called a Deep 6. And it's basically 6 different broadheads, anywhere from the old school Muzzy, Thunderheads. They have a few expandables. And they have this thing called the Big Nasty that I might use for my elk this year. So there's plenty of options for that. And if those don't float your boat, or if you've got sponsorship or whatever by somebody else and you need to shoot a different pattern or a different broadhead, NAP is coming out with an insert that'll allow you to use stuff like your Silver Flames, your Slick Tricks, your G5s, that type of thing. So again, I really encourage you guys to go out there and give these arrows a shot. Do you have to buy the whole dozen? Maybe not. Pick up 6, shoot them. You know, prove to yourself that these arrows are worth it. For me, I absolutely think they're worth it. They fly better. They're faster, they're more consistent, they penetrate deeper, and that's all you can really ask for. So I'm definitely going to stick with these for a while until I can find something better. You might go out there, give them a shot. I think your local pro shops should have them. Give them a shot. I think these guys are onto something. Again, if you guys have any questions, drop me an email, give me a call. Take care.